This presentation is for educational purposes and is based on personal experiences. Please do your own research and seek advice from trusted sources before making financial decisions. This is part of a broader conversation on building financial confidence. To personalize your journey, consider purchasing the workbook 8 Steps to Financial Empowerment by me, Dawn Johnson, available on Amazon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Financial Empowerment Workshop Series, where we will facilitate discussions to assist you on your financial empowerment journey to build the life you are dreaming of. In this session, we're diving into a topic that's on so many of your minds: home ownership. And to guide us, I'm so excited to introduce a brilliant real estate agent, church member, and friend, Miss Ola Martin. She's going to kick things off with a home ownership review game that's both fun and incredibly insightful. We'll be talking about systemic barriers in the housing market and, most importantly, the equity strategies you can use to build your dream life. Ola will open up the conversation and answer participant questions about how to use the equity in your home to get a return on your investment, along with the ins and outs of rental properties. And she'll discuss her wisdom on what you should look out for when the real estate market is about to turn. If you're ready to learn how to make your home work for you and invest in your future, stick around. Let's get started.
Any questions regarding real estate, regarding investment properties, make sure you give us a call. Come and we'll sit down, we'll have coffee, we'll have lunch, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we get those questions answered for you. Okay, so our first question today is, and please raise your hand because this is going to be individual and you get to win a prize if you get it right. Okay, first question is, what are, and y'all remember this from some of our previous classes, what are some systematic barriers that have historically limited opportunities for Black Americans? Can somebody name one? Redlining. Oh my goodness! Redlining. Very good. So redlining is a historical policy that not denied Black individuals or Black Americans access to mortgages and homeownership that would have contributed to building wealth. So very good. Very good. Okay, first winner. Yes, redlining. Everybody get that? Just give me some card. Okay. There you go. I think we have a total of 6. There you go. All right. There you go. All right. Second question. Why is homeownership considered a primary vehicle for building wealth? Anybody? Why is it considered a primary vehicle for building wealth? Come on, y'all. Y'all know this.
I'll take a shot. That's okay.
Yes.
I guess from what I've heard and experiences that you can take the equity out of your home to fund other dreams or activities that you want to do in life, travel, education,
Yes.
start another business, investing. So it actually is a great tool.
Very good. Very good.
All of
said it any better. Right. Homeownership allows individuals to build equity over time and property values increase, providing a stable foundation for wealth accumulation. So that's how it's done, guys. Let me tell you a couple of stories. Love working with young people. It doesn't matter, young, old, whatever, middle-aged, but just a couple of situations that I've had the opportunity to experience with a couple of clients. Just like you said, building wealth and gaining equity. I had a couple of situations where a gentleman, I had sold him a home, and he said, well, you know what, Ola, I'm thinking about selling. I was like, selling? You just bought your home maybe 2 years ago, right? Well, he said, well, I've been looking at the market, and based on what I bought it for, based on what it looks like I may be able to get for it, I think I'm going to open a trucking company. I was like, wow, okay, awesome. So ran the numbers for him, and sure enough, this guy had $130,000 in equity in his property. And he did exactly that. He sold his home and he bought a truck. And what did he do after that? He made money and he was able to buy another truck and another truck. So I think he's up to 3 trucks now. So with just that opportunity of building wealth, and this next story is kind of personal because it's my son. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so did he buy another house, or did he live in a truck? Did he rent?
Well, you know what? That is a good question. You know what? He went to live with his sister, who has a sort of like an apartment downstairs. So he pays her rent, and he's going to eventually build a mansion.
Okay, because that's always the question. That's always a question. Like you sell, and sometimes people don't sell because man, I gotta go buy.
Yes.
And you know their interest rates are high or whatever.
Yeah,
and maybe they rent or maybe they live with family. So yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, and with a couple of hundred past clients, I would say over half of them are currently in that situation because they might have an interest rate of 2.5%, but if they were to purchase, guess what their rates would be today? 6-7%, correct. So it's kind of like, they're kind of stuck. But if you were in a situation where this gentleman, he was in a great situation where he was able to go live with a family member. And another situation of building equity, like I was telling you, this particular story is kind of close to my heartstrings because it's my son. So he listens to his mama, and that's the most important thing, right? So I was like, son, whatever you do, you get that good job, making decent money. First thing you do is buy a house. So he did something not so smart. He went and bought a big car because he was like, that's when he had that Genesis in his and it was a pretty big payment. We were like, son, just hold off on the car, but he had to have the car. So finally, he listened, and he's like, Mom, okay, I'm ready to go ahead and buy this house. So guess what he had to do? He had to sell that car. But boy, is he ever glad he sold that car. Because he ended up purchasing a home, and he is, my grandbaby. Anyway, they're going to be moving to Chapin, South Carolina. Yeah, so near Columbia. So anyway, they bought the house, and it's been about 5 years, and he's sitting on $187,000 in equity. So he's able to sell that house and, of course, put it down on his new home and make it, much more affordable for him. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask the gentleman who had the $130,000 in equity, and anyone who might be in that situation, is it possible for them to get a line of credit instead of having to sell the home?
Absolutely, it is. He could have done that. He could have gone that route as well. He could definitely have gone that route.
So he could have pulled from the equity, moved, and kept his house and put it up for rent, and probably rented it out for a lot more than, because rent is high.
I have another scenario.
Right.
A young couple, same thing. They purchased maybe 6-7 years ago. They wanted to move up because they started, having children, having a family, and so they decided to do exactly that. They took some equity out of the current home, and they're renting it out, so they're keeping it. So they have that investment home now, where the rent is more than the mortgage. So I've advised them to put that extra money towards the principal on the home, so you can pay it off sooner, and they will see a return on that investment way sooner than 30 years, of course, by putting that additional money towards the principal. But anyway, they're moving up to another house.
And I think this is the thing, and I don't want to get folks confused. YouTube, again, correct me if I'm wrong. That's a good type of debt. Because if you've taken money out of your house to buy another house, you have a stake in 2 properties which are going up in value. What I saw a lot of my neighbors do when we bought our first house was all the guys got big riding lawnmowers. Well, they're going down in value, and this was during that first housing market crash. And what I also began to see was all the houses starting to get foreclosed on because they wanted a fancy theater room, or that's not a reason. And I don't know if you could talk about what's a good reason to take money out of your house and what's a bad reason to take money.
Yeah, well, obviously, bad reason is, because you want the nice, shiny things. If it's not going to make you money, then definitely that's not something that you want to do. It's got to make you money. If it's not going to make you money, that's definitely not something you want to do. So if you can see, if it's going to assist you in, it's an investment. Like, Ms. Donna's been talking about, if it's something you can invest in that's going to have a return on the investment, then of course you want to consider that. But again, you have to do your due diligence and make sure that whatever that investment is a good investment. Yes, ma'am.
So for someone, so the ones that got another house and gonna rent out their whole house, is there a market for it? Like, are
For rentals?
for renting homes?
Absolutely, absolutely. The rental market is off the chain as well. People are moving here to the area in groves. I forgot what the stats are, but it's pretty significant number of people per day that are moving to the area.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because you just made me think of something when you talk about this area in Charlotte, Fort Mill, the way it's growing. Because I can remember last time there was kind of the market crash, Charlotte didn't do as badly as some of the other areas. So how would you describe the housing market in Charlotte?
Right now, the housing market in Charlotte, property values are still increasing. Now, they have come down just a little bit because of, what's going on with the interest rates. The interest rates are higher, and so people qualifying is a little bit more, a little bit more difficult for some people to qualify. But the home values are still increasing. Now, 2008, that's when the market crashed and we saw a lot of foreclosures. But like you said, I did a lot of those foreclosures, like people were buying them as investment properties. There wasn't a great deal, but Charlotte did have its fair share of short sales and foreclosures. And short sales is basically when the value of the home is less than what you owe. Like you owe more than the value of the home. So that you can get out of that home by going with a short sale. Guess you guys probably are familiar with that, right? So, any other questions? Yes.
Any market indicators, so people who are planning to, whether they're going to use their equity to buy a home and look for appreciation in the market, are there any indicators that you can share that help people kind of keep an eye out for when the market is starting to turn?
Yeah, so right now, I guess the indicators would be just kind of keeping an eye on home values. Like, for instance, we've got working with a couple of people, and we've noticed that, but I don't think it's going to be a downturn in the market. It's just what we're dealing with right now with the rates being where they are. But we're just kind of like keeping an eye on a few properties, and we're starting to see that they're starting to reduce the prices a little bit. So they're like $5,000 and $10,000 reductions. So, but we don't feel like it's going to be a downturn in